Hey guys, and welcome to
That is my own sperm.
So I wanted to go into a little bit of a deeper, what would you call it? A deeper analysis, because we're making fun of these right-wingers. I wanted to go a little bit beneath the surface in this episode, okay? So we'll get to that in a second. But what we're talking about today is this guy who we've made fun of a couple times. And this guy presents a unique challenge to really these social media companies, YouTube and all this. It's just an impossible situation because this guy is just so stupid, and at the same time it's shocking that this guy has any followers. So they're playing these games again. This guy gets a week suspension. We'll look at the video. We'll talk about the video that got him suspended too, but a hard strike from YouTube, and wow, this is terrifying. We covered specific documented instances of rape, and YouTube says that's not allowed. All parents should take note. If you believe in the insane notion of biological sex, you will be silenced. More to come. Hashtag fight like hell. What exactly are you fighting? I don't know. Something. So this idiot is always doing like transphobic, anti-trans stuff on his channel. And he did this episode where he's talking about a story that he found on sort of like some random website. And Steven Crowder, a guy who's always got something... I mean, context is important. Always got something negative to say about trans people. He tells this story that he found on this random website about how a transgender woman was sent to a female prison and raped a woman in that prison, and then that woman got pregnant. The problem is that there's no evidence that this actually happened. The problem is, I mean, this guy is a moron, and this is meant for a moron audience of people who are very, like, scared of gay people and very scared of trans people, and that's their political view of the world because they're goose-stepping idiots. They're too busy thinking this. This is what runs through their head all day.
That is my own sperm.
So that's the problem with this absolute moron, is that if he was doing a story about the conditions of prisons, which have all kinds of abuse of this kind, sexual assault and all this thing. The problem is that this moron knows what he's doing, and every idiot, any idiot, including his idiot audience, can tell what he's doing. He's doing an anti-trans story. He's like, look at these trans people. They get into prisons. They get into female prisons just to attack people. So this is just days ago. This is from just days ago after this guy gets cut off. And by the way, like, these people, these right-wingers, are why, like, people like me get suspended. I mean, not just morons like Adam Carolla, this guy. This idiot being a little flower, being a little snowflake, and someone's mean to him, so he tries to get them suspended. But it's like, these are the same idiots who are getting on here like Brett Weinstein and all these morons. And YouTube has to scramble to figure out what to do with all these people who are spreading like dangerous, like vaccine-related crap. And then I end up losing a week of a YouTube access. So here we go. Here's from the Megyn Kelly show, who's about as boring a stereotype of a right-wing news anchor as you could possibly find. So this is what this ding-dong got suspended for. Here we go.
We looked it up to find out, because most of the reporting links back to this WOLF. It's WOLF, which is an acronym, stands for Women's Liberation Front. So far as we can tell, they claim that a female inmate in a California women's prison became pregnant after biological males, trans women, were housed in the prison. We have not been able to confirm that. Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's organization, they did some work trying to confirm that as well. And the California Bureau of Prisons is denying it, saying we do have some pregnant women in our prisons, but they were pregnant when they got here. They were not impregnated by trans prisoners who'd been transferred from the men's prison. So I don't know what the truth is, but there certainly has been this reporting out there.
And again, like, by the way, there's a real story to be very critical of prisons. That there's all kinds of horrible things that go on in prisons that has to stop, and all kind of progress we could make, but not. No. So The whole premise, of course, is for him to just do like anti-trans crap, because it's like, because it's like these people are just like anything they can do to distract from like a vision of a better future or anything like that. Anything that they can do to distract from like progress or like, oh, what could life be like if we had like if life was easier for the average person? Maybe maybe we could do some real stuff. Maybe we could do some real things here. These people that's their real purpose. Like, this is something we never talk about on this channel. We make fun of right-wingers, and that's their real purpose. Their purpose is to just like, there is no future, just distract from any improvement, any progress. We need to focus on stories that we basically make up. So this whole story is basically, really it's trans people shouldn't exist, but it's also, if you put a trans woman in a female prison, that's bad because they're not real women, is the subtext here. Here's the problem. This is where the actual data and research points us. And there is a story here, but of course these guys are just in outfield facing the wrong way, as usual. Out of 4,890 transgender state prisoners tracked in 45 states and Washington, D.C., NBC News was able to confirm only 15 cases in which a prisoner was housed according to their lived gender. So of almost 5,000 prisoners, this is in 2020, NBC News was only able to confirm 15 cases in which a prisoner was housed according to their lived gender. These housing decisions can have dire consequences. 35% of transgender people who have spent time in prison in the previous year reported being sexually assaulted by staff or fellow prisoners, according to a 2015 report by the Department of Justice. So it's pretty clear what to do here. It's like, and all the data points to that's where they should be. Like, why are there 5,000 prisoners who are at risk of violence being housed in these more dangerous prisons? And this is what this is. This is what we're dealing with here. This is why these people exist, is to slow down human progress. Like people like Steven Crowder, all the rich people who pay them, they don't want things to get better. That's really what it sounds crazy, but that's what it is. We're talking about prisons here. Here's what human progress actually looks like.
Yeah, this is home, yeah.
Karsten was convicted of killing a man in Brazil. This is his cell block with a full kitchen, big screen TV, laundry room.
You have a key to your own cell.
Yeah, everybody has their own key.
He and the rest of the prisoners are locked in overnight. The rest of the time, they choose when to lock the door to their cozy single-bed cells with a TV and a private bathroom.
I used to be in prison in Brazil, and there was a cell just a little bit bigger than this, and there used to be 15 people in the same room.
So of course, this is Norway. What's this guy's name? Let me see if I could pronounce this guy's name.
But
Ari Hoidel.
I'm Ari Hoidel.
Ari Hoidel has a famous saying that he's known for saying a lot.
that is my own sperm.
Let's take the next mental steps on this, right? Murderers. These horrible people. Let's go to the absolute worst. Serial killers. Like a serial killer. They deserve to be thrown in the pit, in the hole. Like Paul Newman in that movie. What's that stupid old movie? Paul Newman gets thrown in a dungeon or something. All the worst criminals in society they got there somehow, right? Especially serial killers is the best example, because usually people become serial killers because of some kind of trauma. That's usually what the extreme crime is. It's somebody who went through usually some kind of horrible childhood trauma. So the prisons in the United States, which are clearly meant to punish and be as horrible as possible and have no oversight and all this crap, how does that make sense? How does prison as supposed to be horrible and further traumatize these already traumatized people? How can anyone make sense of that? Can anyone make sense of that? No, you can't. You can't. These people People in Norway, of course, it's gotta be Norway. It's gotta be the stupid and Nordic. Cause always hearing about these goddamn Nordic idiots. But they're just taking that next logical step. They always miss, like, what's the real issue. Like, that's the whole point of Steven Crowder. That's the whole point of Ben Shapiro, is never look at the real issue. Never look at how things could be better. It's always, a trans person did something bad. Okay, where's the evidence? It's a made up story. And now YouTube is worse. Now YouTube is going to crack down on normal people and ban normal people because our dumbasses. Check this out. This is from an Insider article. This was a big topic of discussion, the prison debate that kind of just fell out of public consciousness for some reason. But we got to figure this one out. They're talking about the success of Norway's prison system. On top of that, when criminals in Norway leave prison, just listen to this. When they leave prison in Norway, they stay out. It has one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world at 20%. I wonder what the U.S. rate is with our great ideas on justice. The U.S. has one of the highest. 76.6% of prisoners are rearrested within 5 years. Seems like we might be doing something wrong here. Uh-oh.
Take the towers down now.
That's what we got to... Okay, this is the order of things we need to fix. First thing we need to do is...
Take the towers down now.
Second, we need to...
Keep that little smug!
And then third, fix prisons. How does Norway accomplish this feat? The country relies on a concept called restorative justice, which aims to repair the harm caused by crime rather than punish people. This system focuses on rehabilitating prisoners. So I think this is important to the trans debate too, because a lot of why the only reason you could have only 15 of 5,000 transgender prisoners in the place where they absolutely shouldn't be, based on the violence that happens to them in these prisons that they shouldn't be in. The only way that you could rationalize that or justify that is they asked for it because they're prisoners, they're criminals, and that's how we look at the world. Man, oh man, this is kind of burned across right-wing media, this thing about Pete Buttigieg, the great Pete Buttigieg. I believe that he was a big proponent of
corporate communism.
But here we go. This is great. This is these people got nothing. I mean, just 50% of the people in the United States are just checked out. They're just there's nothing. There's no coherent view of the world. Here we go.
All right, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about something less controversial, which is Pete Buttigieg and his paternity leave. And he's getting mocked. He's getting mocked for taking paternity leave. That's at all. And he's getting mocked. Should. And he didn't appoint a backup when we're in the midst of this shipping and supply problem. But
there's a difference between that and the Secretary of Transportation, who just, first off, shows you how useless he is that no one noticed. No one is going hey, where's Pete? Where is he? I don't know. He's chest feeding some child with...
This is the other part about these people, and it's such a shame because you didn't even have to be paying that much attention to the primary, the 2020 primary. But let's just go back through because it's pretty interesting. It tells you a lot about the world that we live in, okay? What happened in the 2020 primary, if you remember this, is there was a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of Democratic Party weirdos. They had Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, some weird guy who run Facebook ads, Mike Bloomberg, all these morons, just this giant group of goobers and weirdos. And then the primary started, right? People started voting, and Bernard Sanders, if you remember, started doing really good. So if you remember what happened is that all those people dropped out when it was looking like Bernie was doing good, and a lot of these third stringers, Pete Buttigieg, they were not going to be the nominee. So what did they do? What happened? All these people dropped out and they endorsed Biden. And weirdly, Pete Buttigieg, a guy who should not have been in the race in the first place, so when he dropped out to help to then endorse Biden to fight against the evil leftist, the communist Bernard, for doing that, for helping them fight the real threat, Bernie Sanders, he suddenly gets a job. Oh, almost like they made a deal. Almost like there was a deal, like, hey, drop out and endorse me, and maybe you'll get some good stuff. It's a no-show job. Like, this guy's such a moron. He's so illiterate to the recent past, the ancient history of like a year ago. So illiterate, so stupid, that he doesn't realize he's kind of making like a lefty argument on accident. Pete Buttigieg, he does like he doesn't even, he's like useless. Yeah, because it's a no-show job. It's like this, like Tony Soprano gave him a job at the construction site. It was about doing this to the real progress candidate, the real actual change candidate, possible change, not big change, minor tweak around the edges, New Deal Democrat change of Bernard Sanders.
That is my own sperm.
This was, I think, Bernie Sanders' campaign slogan. It was this.
That is my own sperm.
Here we go. This is how awkward these people are. This is a softball interview that these two people have. It's just like, yeah, just fill it out. Say something about trans people suck and critical race theory is causing all your problems, and wrap it up. And these guys can't even, they trip over their own feet on even this one. Here we go.
Like, hey, where's Pete? Where is he? Like, I don't know. He's chest feeding some child with fake rubber tits, I guess. I don't
Stop it. That was a joke by Tucker. He was not. He doesn't. He said Tucker doesn't understand bottle
what
feeding.
The problem is? No. I reject your premise. Let me explain to you why I reject your premise. Because then Pete Buttigieg. Let me explain to you why I reject your premise. Because then Pete Buttigieg goes, well, it seems to me that Tucker doesn't understand the concept of bottle feeding. Oh, do you mean he might be confused because you have been pushing the concept of chest feeding because men can breastfeed too and chest feeding persons? In other words, you don't get to create the premise and then act like someone's absurd for accepting it.
This guy, man, he really is like the dude in high school who just was really loud but nobody liked. Steven Crowder has this like fake lawyer who I guess just like writes. That's actually a good job. You're like, yeah, sure, Steven, I'll deal with this, and then you just like lazily, like half asleep, half drunk, send an email to like YouTube YouTube customer service or whatever. We write again on YouTube's behalf regarding your client, Steven Crowder. YouTube has repeatedly instructed Mr. Crowder regarding its hate speech policy and warned him against continuing violations of that policy through content he uploaded on YouTube. So this would actually be like better in both cases, right? This would be better for everybody if YouTube had like YouTube court and like a democratic process to suspend or strike or blah 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 people, because you could have like the prosecution or whatever come out and show like, yeah, this chowderhead, this moron, this Canadian, this guy who we should boot back over to Canada, deport his butt back to Canada. Look at the context of what this guy does. I mean, he does tons of anti-trans content, and then so suddenly I'm doing a story that turned out to be wrong of trans women attacking women in prisons. So as you can see, this guy, he just kind of grasps at any kind of transphobic content to please a transphobic audience. Getting all that out there would be like, oh yeah, wow. Like that would make it clear, and it makes him look even worse. I mean, we got to thank Steven Crowder for calling attention to the fact that way too many trans people are not in the prison that they should be in across these 50 states that this NBC study did. This FOIA request thing. A lot of trans people need to get out of those prisons. And on top of that, like we gotta fix these toilet prisons in this place that have a 76% recidivism rate.
It is disgusting.
Failed state. That's failed state stuff right there. hey, maybe we should look at some of these Nordic countries. They seem to be just like kicking our butt in like on every metric. No, because a trans person. Yeah, what about that? Because of them. Yeah, but what do you mean because of that? Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we have like a functioning society? No, we can't. Why not? Because a trans person. I saw one once. Oh yeah, what happened? They got me. They got me. And then I turned trans. So that's what we're dealing with, and that's what this is about. That's what this all the stuff that I cover, all the little stuff we make fun of and look at, Charlie Kirk's, Stephen Crowding, Ben Crocchino, all these morons and dimwits. Dave Rubin is like the one who doesn't even try to pretend it's real. All these idiots, that's their purpose. That's their purpose to like, oh, could you imagine, like, you look into the future, like a Star Trek, you use your brain to do like, ooh, like a Star Trek future, like a cool, easier to live in, funner, more interesting, more free future. Could you imagine that? A future where people don't 60% of bankruptcies aren't because somebody gets sick. Wow, what a future. Like, no, don't think about that. Think about what if a trans person was at school? It's literally, that's what it is. That's what it is. It sounds like an exaggeration, but that's the essential purpose of these people. To just dig in their heels, on a literally better world for like my kids and your kids. That's it.
Hey guys, before I
go, just a quick note. I will be releasing a extra bonus episode of this thing for patron only. It's gonna be the Book of Blega. I'm gonna just shove the Book of Blega and the behind the scenes and all that together as one amazing program. So that's coming soon. Love you, and bye-bye.
Guys, these are the producers. Without them, it ain't gonna happen, okay? Please check your attitude around them, alright? Stop giving them a hard time as you do, okay? And I realized that because this is not on the other YouTube channel where I have to worry about all this bullcrap of, is YouTube gonna put it out of the algorithm or whatever, I can go back to reading everybody's name. So I'm gonna do that this week, I believe. Unless I keep being a lazy, useless piece of shit. I'll read their names in the old-fashioned way.